Welcome to the Beauty and the Beard podcast. I am Woody.
I am Sarah.
And we're back.
Yeah.
But we weren't actually gone, though, right? We didn't
Technically,
leave.
No,
we didn't leave. Just things changed just a little bit. The things are about to be awesome.
You might call it a paradigm shift.
Ooh. See what you did there.
Yeah.
This is going to be our new show that we're
Yeah.
going to start doing on a weekly basis, maybe
Indeed.
twice a week.
Who knows?
Yep, we'll continue doing the reviews for Dynamite, doing some previews,
And
some predictions, some roundtables, just
Yep.
general fun AEW wrestling talk with me and this nutcase over there in the UK.
Hello.
So I'm glad you're with us. I hope you stick with us because it's going to get fun going forward. I promise you that. Buckle up, boys and girls.
Buckle up.
And everybody. Yeah, so this first episode we're going to do is going to be basically getting to know how we started watching wrestling, how we became wrestling fans, what got us going, our favorite things about wrestling, what maybe got us out of it, and what got us back into it. We always love a good Q&A. That's always our favorite part of the Dynamite reviews. So why not start off this first episode with a Q&A between us?
Yes.
We
We should do this.
It's a good idea.
Would you like me to enlighten you on what we're doing?
Yes, please.
Because he has no idea.
No, I have no idea. This is not planned at all.
This is definitely not planned.
No.
So my plan is, as we like a good Q&A, as we have mentioned in the past, I thought that we could do some Q&A questions on ourselves.
That's a great idea.
To like peel back the curtain and see, what makes us tick as wrestling fans, see what got us there and how we're progressing, kind of like show our pedigree, I think.
You don't want to peel back my curtain too far.
No, granted.
No. Keep it closed a little bit.
But I think it's just a good idea so everybody knows where we're coming from.
Yeah.
So how about it?
Great idea.
So I have some questions, surprisingly.
Wow, you had those prepared so quickly. Yes, you are.
So my first one will be to you.
All right.
When did you start watching wrestling?
Let's see. Well, I was born in '77. Yeah, so I kind of you know where I'm at now. So I started watching in the early '80s, early to mid '80s. My earliest obviously with WWF, which is what it was called then for the youngins. But really what the character that drew me into watching wrestling was Hulk Hogan. I mean, dude was larger than life. We've learned a lot more about him now, but as a kid, I mean, he was like the icon. I mean, he was eat your vitamins, say your prayers, brother. He was the guy that you just latched onto. He just exuded a wrestling superhero. Without the cape. Everybody wanted the Hulkamania, yellow shirts and everything, and rip them off and tear your shirt up like he did, but then have to go buy a new one. But just that. I mean, just everything WWF was doing in the '80s, where it was geared more towards kids. But that's what I was then. I was that kid who wanted to buy every bit of merchandise, watch every show. But then it went into, Andre the Giant. You had the great villains then. He was the foil for Hulk Hogan, it was just like a good superhero movie. You had to have that big villain. Andre the Giant was literally larger than life. I mean, the dude was huge. And you bring in the people like, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Even some of the lower to mid card guys like Coco Beware. I mean, loved the dude. He came out with a parrot on his shoulder. That was just so cool. But yeah, I got started then. Mid '80s, It was just it was a fun time as a child watching wrestling, because it was like a comic book come to life on screen
Yeah.
every time I got a chance to watch it. So
Very
yeah, that was
nice.
me.
That was
How
you.
about you? I'm assuming you started a little later than I did.
Well, considering I wasn't born until the late 80s, yes.
Yeah, that would be tough for you to watch it before
Yeah.
then.
Why I was like not aware of the world, yes.
Yeah, I was watching wrestling already.
Yeah, well, for me, it's a bit different over in the UK, obviously, because we kind of, everything's like early in the morning for us if we want to watch anything wrestling wise that's in America. And when I went to high school, so I started high school in 2000. So yeah, that ages me.
Yeah, there you go.
So we didn't have any sports channels at my house where I lived. So I had a friend there whose older brother liked wrestling. So I started hanging around with her. And then one day she said, oh, you can come over and have a sleepover. But my brother will be watching like some wrestling stuff. I was like, oh, okay, then never even heard of what this is. And so went over and we watched Wrestlemania 2000 like live down in like her living room in sleeping bags. And that was it. That from that moment I was like, what is this and why have I never heard of this before? This is just like, I don't know, I just loved it, like everything about it. I was just like, why has nobody told me about this? I feel like I've been like completely left out of stuff. Because I have like no like siblings at all, so you know, poor me. But I had nobody like at all that even told me this stuff existed. So when I saw that pay-per-view for the first time, I was just like, okay, I'm coming to shows every Saturday from now on. Like every weekend, and any like pay-per-views that are on, I'm at your house. And that's basically where it started. I basically just like inserted myself into this girl's life just because I could watch
because of wrestling
at her house.
I'm just your friend because of wrestling. Just being
it
honest.
Was crazy. That was like, and like, I wasn't like, kind of like I said, I was sort of like, I was a weird kid, surprisingly.
No,
not as an adult that it's carried on or anything, but yeah, I was a weird kid. So I like didn't have that many friends. So when I found her as a friend and we had something in common, I kind of like just like attached myself. So I hope that girl's okay wherever she is these days.
Sure. I'm sure she's fine.
I'm sure she is. But yeah, so that was like my first little inkling into everything that so that was it.
Gotcha. Yep.
So the next question is, who or what hooked you in?
Well, you know, early on, as I talked about Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Andre the Giant, even Ultimate Warrior, you know, when he came in, I mean, just the energy that, you know, those guys exuded. But what really, I guess, changed me and really made me the wrestling fan I am now. I mean, because I was different as a kid. My teenage years, the way I viewed wrestling changed greatly. And I started watching WCW. And that's when the Monday Night Wars were hot and heavy.
Yeah.
And that was the I guess you could say the golden years of pro wrestling, that time period between the Monday Night Wars, because you had that competition between the two companies. And I latched myself on the WCW mainly. Now the NWO was a huge thing, and that was something that latched a lot of people onto that era. But to be honest, it was what you consider mid-card guys, the workhorses of WCW, that really I watched the show for. I was a huge Chris Jericho fan from the get-go. When he came in as Lionheart Chris Jericho, he was a babyface. Just, you could tell his charisma right from the beginning, and I was like, that's my guy. Like that. I'm not sure where he's going. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know he had already been to wrestling in Mexico and Japan, and and that he'd even done some time with ECW. I had no idea. That's the first time I'd seen him. But in the moment he turned heel for the first time, he was a big part of the cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Dean Malenko, and Eddie Guerrero. I mean, they carried that the cruiserweight, and Rey Mysterio Jr. They carried that cruiserweight division. It was always so fun. There was so much energy, and that's where the action was. Yeah, you had Hogan and the NWO and Sting and stuff going on in the upper card.
Yeah.
But that under mid card, revolving around those guys back then was so much fun, and just to see the evolution of Chris Jericho in WCW until he left and went to the WWF WWE was just so much fun. And it was that time period right there really ingrained in me what I would really love going forward in wrestling. It changed me the way I looked at wrestling. I saw it for more than just what was on top.
Yeah.
The dressing that you saw on top. Yeah. What the company really wanted to push at you. Although some of that was fun. There's nothing quite like the Sting NWO feud. It was really cool, but it was just I started seeing where the talent really, really was.
Yeah.
And latching myself onto certain guys like Chris Jericho, which then that carried on to where we are now. But that's for another story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So for me, it was that first pay-per-view that I saw, that WrestleMania, and you may or may not be surprised to know it was the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot about me and like any wrestler that I actually like.
Team Extreme.
Team Extreme, my goodness. So that, like, literally seeing them in that match with like Edge and Christian and the Dudleys, I was just like, this is crazy. Like, I was quite a sheltered kid. I lived in like a tiny little village that was surrounded by fields and cows. So like to see like
sounds like Alabama.
To see like this kind of like larger than life like guys just like basically almost killing themselves. But like seeing that they weren't like these big bulky guys either, which is what when you say wrestler to like a kid, they think of like a real massive person, like, dead bulky. And I was seeing like these, like, especially the Hardy Boys, like little scrawny guys. They weren't massive or anything. I was just like, no, okay, they can do that. Like, that's crazy for me. And just like the insane stuff they were doing, I was like, why am I enjoying this so much? What the hell is going on with me right now? But yeah, I just, they got me in there, and they basically started my love of tag team wrestling in general, and also the kind of, in quotes, extreme stuff as well, like the kind of the unhinged characters in wrestling and people that are a bit outside the box and stuff like that. That's probably where it started, where I think I based my personality from, if I think about it.
It all makes sense now.
It all makes sense now. Hardy Boys.
That's where it started.
So that was for me.
It's their fault.
It is literally their fault. So next one I've got for you, which I think is quite an interesting one, is first memorable match.
First memorable match.
One that sticks out.
That is an absolute easy one for me.
Go on.
Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, WrestleMania 3.
Okay.
Again, it was earlier in my life, but that was the first match where I just, and looking back, I mean, the action that happened in the match, it's not comparable to a lot of the action I've seen in other matches since. So was it like the best match I've ever seen? No. But the way the crowd was, the way it was shot, just how huge the guys looked in the match, how it just felt like a big moment as a kid. And I can't change that memory of that's the first memory I have of my eyes popping out of my head for this moment. Like my heart beating really fast, because it was just, as a kid, it was such a big moment seeing those two go at it at WrestleMania 3, and seeing Hulk Hogan body slam the Giant for the first time, which, body slam, imagine that being such a huge thing. Body slams are dime a dozen now. You know, you see people slamming big guys then, but the way that story was built, though, it was such a huge moment when he actually slammed Andre. So yeah, just that would be the earliest big moment match that I have. And there's a lot of bigger ones since. That a lot more that a lot more matches that mean more to me since then. But that right there was the first one that that made me go wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good one.
So I mean, what would be the that memorable match for you?
For me, the one that sticks out, and obviously there was some great matches between the Dudleys, Hardys, and Edge and Christian before this, but I think this sticks out in a lot of people's minds for the one spot. It was WrestleMania 17, where Edge spears Jeff Hardy from a ladder, and it just flops. And I just literally remember watching it going, is he dead? Like, what? Because like Jeff Hardy was known for just like generally just dismantling himself at any given chance. And me and this girl that I watched wrestling with, we had this thing that we both liked the Hardy Boys, but because we were like 13, 14-year-old girls, we couldn't like the same one. We had to have our own guy. So she liked Jeff, and by default, I had to like Matt.
Yeah.
So, which sounds really, really pathetic now, but we were like 13, 14, and we were just like, you know, at that age. And I remember when that spot happened, she basically screamed so much so her parents ran down the stairs because they thought something had happened. And she was like, no, it's just I think he's died. And I remember her lighting a candle for him as well to hope he was okay. I mean, this stuff sounds crazy.
That's great.
Now.
That is great.
But like, she was like genuinely like upset, and I was just like, "Why am I watching again? Like, I don't understand anymore." But yeah, like I like every now and again I'll go onto YouTube and I'll just watch that match for that spot alone because it's just it's just crazy. It still seems crazy.
Yep. It's an iconic moment for sure.
It is. It really is definitely up there. Like if someone said, what is your favorite spot of all time? That would literally have to be it for now.
Yep.
And again, this is how I got into that type of wrestling. So
I
have a lot to say for.
I love the fact that you and your friend are fighting over who's your guy though. That's great. I mean, because it kind of sounds like me and like a friend of mine, which I'm sure we did at some point, but like back when the Rockers were the thing, you know, you had Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, and like we're out there like pretending like we're wrestling outside. You know what's going on? Okay, I'm Shawn Michaels. No, I'm not going to be Marty Jannetty. No. Everybody wants to be Shawn Michaels. You know, it's just that's what it is. So
even Matt Jackson.
I get it. Sometimes.
But yeah, so I mean that's just like. That's just teenage girl stuff, I think, as well. Like at that like time of like you, like how old you are and stuff. You're just like any like guy that you both like, you can't both like anyway.
There's no.
So you have to like one or the other.
There's no sharing. No,
it's girl code.
No,
this is when girl code starts. So that was my my memorable match.
Very cool.
So the next question is, what was either your first live event or your most memorable live event?
There are several live events. Well, I didn't go to a ton, but like I've been to a Royal Rumble, the Royal Rumble that Triple H came back from his quad injury when he won the Rumble, came back, and it was a cool moment. And of course, I went to Dynamite in Atlanta, the cage match with Wardlow and Cody, which was unbelievable. So that might be because it's so new too, and because it is AEW, that was just a really cool moment. But of a memorable time though, it's something a little you would think would be less of a memorable moment, but because of what happened, made it memorable to me. We were going to a house show in Birmingham, in Alabama, just go ahead and put that out there. So, which is, an hour down the road. And I was the one that had put this thing together for us to go to this house show, this WWF house show. Or it might have been WWE at the time. I can't remember. It was 2002. This is close to the time when I actually stopped watching wrestling, but it was 2002, 2003. Could have been 2001. I don't know. It was somewhere in the early 2000s. I don't know exactly when. But this house show, the main event was going to be Hulk Hogan versus Chris Jericho.
Okay.
And it was huge for me because, again, as I mentioned, I grew up watching Hulk Hogan, but Jericho, easily became my favorite. And I'm like, whoa, this is neat. This is like a match you're not going to see a ton. So I really want to go see it. So got this thing together, right? And some friends were going with me. They watched wrestling at the time. I did have friends that enjoyed watching wrestling at the time. One whose name is Larry, and he didn't get to go with us, but he was the guy that, like you said, you had the friend that ordered all the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
He was that guy. Like, we all went to his house, and his family was super cool. We'd go over there and pile up, and we'd all, split the bill for the pay-per-view, and we'd all just, have a good time. So, but he wasn't able to go with us. And it hurt him too, because he really wanted to go. But he had to work. So anyways, we loaded up, man, and we headed over to Birmingham. We pulled into the parking deck at the BJCC, and which is the arena that was going to have the event. And we pulled into the parking deck, and just as I pulled it in, I realized I had left the tickets on my stereo. I was still living with my parents, and I left the tickets on that stereo, and it hit me, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
I didn't want to say anything. Like, did you get this weak feeling,
Yeah.
And so I pulled into the parking deck and just did a U-turn and just came back out, and they're like, where are you going? I said, I got bad news, guys. Those tickets are on my stereo. Are you kidding me? I mean, everybody started flipping out, which at first they thought I was joking, because I do prank people occasionally. So it took a while to convince them, until we got back on the interstate and started heading back home. They realized I was serious, So
oh my God.
I said, we're going to miss half of this show because of my dumb mistake. So anyways, my Larry had called us to see, hey, how's it going? Have y'all gotten there yet? He's wanting to know what's going on. And we told him, because they're telling him, I was dumb butt up here driving, left the tickets. And I'm like, I felt terrible. Larry left work, took his lunch break early. Nobody asked him to do it. He just did it. He left, went to my house, got the tickets, and drove and met us halfway.
Oh my God.
So that we would get these tickets, so we could go, not miss a match. And he couldn't go with us. But he knew we were going to have such a great time, and he didn't want us to miss anything, that he just, spent his lunch to go just bring these tickets, because of my dumb self left them on the stereo. So it was my fault. But such a cool thing he was such a selfless person to do something like that. So we didn't miss a match, because he just decided that, he wanted to make sure his friends had a good time. And I say this because last year, early 2020, Larry died because of the pandemic.
Oh.
And I hadn't seen him in such a long time. He moved to Dallas. He was living in Texas. But I hadn't talked to him in forever. The last time I'd actually seen him before then was at somebody else's funeral. He's such a sweet guy. Awesome dude. Great family guy. And I would say his full name, but I haven't gotten approval from his family, so I didn't want to do that. But just such a cool guy. Yeah. Because he just, a lot of bad things in the world get all the attention, but it's those acts like that, just the good stuff people do, don't get enough attention whatsoever.
100%.
So
100%.
yeah, but very, very cool moment. Yeah. So that's mine. Sorry.
No, thanks. Very good one.
Yeah.
I've never been to a live event.
Okay.
I was meant to go. I can't remember. Well, put it this way: the only way I can roughly remember it is between 2004 and 2000 and 2004, because WWE came over to the UK. They were going to be the city closest to me.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. I bought a Hardy Boys cap. I had a Hardy Boys beach towel. And I was upstairs making signs, drawing the Hardy Boys logo and like this big piece of card that my mum got me and everything. I remember it, and I was so excited because my dad was like, I'll take you and I'll get the tickets. I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. I can't wait. I want to go. And we were so excited. I'm going to see them. And then my dad didn't get the tickets and he ended up working away for 3 weeks. So I made my signs, I had all my merchandise. I didn't get to go.
That stinks.
So I was absolutely gutted. I was just like, well, I made my signs, but I didn't get to use them.
That's terrible.
Cheers, Dad.
Well, just think you're still waiting for that first live event.
I am.
And it's going to be amazing when it happens, right? Because of the wait.
I'm dragging the husband, so yeah, it's going to be
yeah. Torture him the whole time.
So yeah, I've never been so long. So hurry up, AEW, get over here.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. So the next question is, did you ever stop watching wrestling at any point? And why did you do that? Please tell me.
Yes, I did. Absolutely did. And I can't even point to a specific reason why. Like, hey, this is the moment that I saw this that made me stop watching wrestling. It was mid 2000s. And I can honestly say that WCW getting bought by WWF, WWE at the time, probably started that, because while WWE was still good after that moment, I feel like that's probably when that lack of competition, true competition, kind of changed the way things were being booked in at WWE. But it was probably mid 2000s, maybe maybe 2006, something like that, was probably around the time that I just stepped away from it.
Okay.
I just wasn't enjoying everything I was seeing. It was, I wasn't having fun with it anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd watched it since I was, 5, 6, 7, really since then, religiously since then. And I finally had just had enough of it. And it just wasn't fun. So I stepped away, and I can honestly say after that, there were times around WrestleMania season, maybe every 2 or 3 years, and WrestleMania would, okay, cool. Let me check out WrestleMania, see what's going on. And I'd watch it and go, yeah. And then I'd watch like a Raw, or I watch a Raw after it, and maybe another Raw, and then I'm like, yep, this is kind of what I thought it was. I'm done. So every few years, I would WrestleMania season would come around, and I'd get the itch to try it again, and it just never stuck. Nothing stuck. So yeah, I gave up on wrestling. Period. Probably mid to late 2000s. But no specific reason though. No like moment. Is just I just wasn't having fun with it anymore. I just couldn't enjoy it, honestly.
Yeah. For me, I've always been a bit in and out of it anyway. Well, the first time I stopped watching it, after I was watching it with this girl, is we weren't friends anymore.
Yeah, so, that's a good reason.
So that sort of stopped that.
You're not going to give up Jeff Hardy, and I'm not going to be friends with you anymore. Exactly. I get
you. That's roughly what happened. And obviously my parents didn't have the sports channels, so I couldn't watch it that way. So I was just like, well, that's that. That's over. And in between all that, I found my love of music and everything like that. So that kind of took over my life anyway. And then I remember I finished college over here. So I did 2 years of college, finished it. And I remember like, Mum was like, so you have to get a job now. I was like, oh, I don't want to adult. I don't want to do it. Said, no, you have to. So I'm like, was like sending off like CVs and stuff for jobs and everything, but then I just like randomly started watching TNA of a weekend. That just happened to be on like just an ordinary channel over here for some reason. So I just watched that every now and again and just was like, oh, What's happening here?
Wrestling.
I remember this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I watched that, and then I moved out. I moved in with my now husband, so I started watching that again.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. And then it got to like 2016, and hubby wanted sports channels, and I had a quick look, and I was like, oh, Raw still exists.
It's still a thing.
What's going on there? So I started watching that. And that's where I saw what was Dean Ambrose, aka now John Moxley. And I was like, okay, he's my type of guy. He reminds me of the Hardys, but in one person. So I was like, okay, I'm watching you. I see what you're doing. That's when he got the championship.
Yeah.
So I saw that at Money in the Bank, like on the pay-per-view, saw that. And then, and then again, I stopped watching it, and I don't know why, but I just went off it again. Then I came back onto it when I finished working. So I was in 2019. So I then started watching it again like that. Was there for the whole new Bray Wyatt stuff. And then Hell in a Cell 2019 happened. And I just thought, why am I watching this? And I just got so annoyed. I was like, why am I watching a program that I record to watch the next day, which is 3 hours long, and I'm probably watching 20 minutes of it because I just fast forward through everything else that I don't enjoy. And bear in mind, this is my personal opinion. Like, if you enjoy Raw or anything, that's fine. It's all subjective. But for me, I just couldn't see the point of it. And I was just like, no, this is not for me anymore. So I gave up on WWE.
Now, Hell in a Cell 2019, that was Seth Rollins and The Fiend, right? That's what that was? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that
now,
was
again, I don't...
bad to watch.
I agree. I don't watch, again, like I said, I don't watch WWE at all, but that does not mean I don't still keep up with the goings on
keep up with what's
over
going
there.
on.
Yeah, I still, for the most part, know what's happening. And I do hear when things happen. I see clips and stuff like that. So, yeah, I knew about that Hell in a Cell match and was not too crazy about it either. But
no, it definitely did not land correctly for me anyway.
I got you.
But yeah, so that was like parking that bit. So my next question for you is, what made you get back into wrestling?
I think that answer is obvious. Should be anyway.
Tell me anyway.
I know, but it's a great thing though. The moment I heard that, I started hearing rumblings of AEW being a thing, and that would have been around when All In went down. And I was not one that was following the Bucks and BTE and all that for all these years. Honestly, I wasn't, because I just wasn't into wrestling. So But the moment I heard about AEW being a possibility, and I started seeing these names, I was like, and the first one, I said where my love of wrestling really kicked in. Like, again, started with Hogan and WWF, but it was Jericho. That was the thing that really started my true fanhood in wrestling. Yeah, as it is now. So when I heard Jericho was involved, I went, ooh, okay, yeah. Okay, I might check this out. So. And I'm sure that happened for a lot of people. But I started looking at the roster that they were putting together. I'm like, I don't know any of these guys. Yeah. But then I started watching some clips of of Darby and Jungle Boy and stuff, and I was like, well, there's something here. And then I started watching clips of MJF, and there's really something here. So because of that, I got back on Twitter. Yeah. I started a Twitter account, never really used it for anything. And I said, you know what? That's what I want to, there are people as into this as I am. There maybe, because I was like, really, I need to talk about this. This is cool. Because all of a sudden I'm feeling that love of wrestling that I had as a kid and I had as a teenager that I hadn't had in years, since the mid to late 2000s. It's been a while. Yeah. So, as a 3-year-old at the time, I'm like, I started feeling like a kid again. I was like, this is kind of cool, man. All right. So, and then the first pay-per-view, which would have been Double or Nothing, right? For Double or Nothing, with which had the Cody Dustin match. and all that, and Moxley, showing up. It just like that show just sold me. I realized watching that, I said, this is absolutely what I have been waiting for this whole time. If there was ever anything that was going to get me back into wrestling, it's what I just saw on TV. And my wife went, well, crap. And there he goes. And there he goes. I mean, literally the look on her face as I'm watching that show, I'm like, are you watching this? Are you like, she could like see it in my eyes. She's like, I lost him. I just lost him. He's gone. So,
it was
such
a crazy British woman on Twitter.
This is just as nuts about it as I am. Yeah. So, it was a cool moment for me, not so much for her. But yeah, so, and it led me to, where we are now, sitting here talking about AEW and our love for pro wrestling. And if not for AEW, I wouldn't be on here talking about it. It's just what it is.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So for me, like, I didn't hear anything about All In or anything like that, because like I just got back interested in the January of 2019. So I literally saw everything from that point. So I basically had a Twitter account. I didn't use it for anything. But then I started watching like What Culture on YouTube and stuff like that. So I started filtering back in. And I had started following all that on Twitter. I was just like, still like watching WWE and all that type of stuff, but I was getting more and more into it. And then when I heard about Double or Nothing, I was like, what? I've never heard of this company before. Like, what's going on? Like, brand new company.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard of anybody that was on the roster. I hadn't heard anything, like literally nothing. And I just remember because we had to get it, because I watch stuff on Fight TV now, but we didn't have that option to begin with. Well, I didn't know about it if we did. So I had to buy it on like a channel that we have over here, but for some reason on a box office, which I didn't know it had. And it wasn't cheap to get this pay-per-view. And I was just like, well, I'll get it and I'll watch it and I'll see what the fuss is about, because let's face it, and this was my mentality at this point, what's coming better than WWE? WWE has been like wrestling for how long? Like I didn't expect anything at all. So I literally went in with just like, oh, see what happens, see what it's like. And I remember watching it going, I have no idea who any of these people are. Why am I watching this? And I just remember sitting, because I just sat on my end of my bed. So I don't even think I was like actually overall interested in it. I just wanted to see what it's about. I remember just sitting there and I was just like, what is going on? And then I remember the Cody Dustin thing. And I was like, oh, that's a bit dramatic. I just remember going, that's really dramatic. But then I remember like, it really was. But then the emotion got me. And I was like, what is happening to me? Like, my little like frozen wrestling heart was like thawing. I was like, what's going on? Why do I feel like so connected? And I don't even know who these people are. But there was something there. And like, obviously there was blood everywhere. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely watching this in the moment. And then I remember like Jericho being on it. And I was like, I remember him. I know that guy. So I was like, right, so there's one person I know. I was like, okay, so that's a link for me. And then obviously like Kenny Omega was there. And I was like, no idea who you are.
Oh, you do now. I do
now. And then I just remember like the end of that match and like all the streamers coming down and Jericho like saying, you need to thank me and all this. And I'm just there going, okay, is that it then? Is that it? And then I just remember like hearing the eruption of the crowd and I was like, what's happening? And then as soon as it panned to John Moxley, I went, oh my God, I know him as well. And I was just like, he's here. The guy that I adored a good few years ago that I thought, I will follow you wherever you go, he's here. Because I heard that he'd left WWE, but I didn't expect him to show up anywhere. So I just remember like seeing him walk down, the little, like I can still see in my head, like when he entered the ring with his little like spin that he did. And just like DDTing everybody. And I was just like, oh, you're here. Okay. Show me what you can do. And then when he took Kenny Omega on some poker chips and planted him back down on the floor, I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm setting up shop. This is where I belong now. And I was just like, that's it. And then I think that's what kind of then dulled WWE for me, because then I was comparing it to what I was feeling when I watched that one pay-per-view. And then obviously the other pay-per-views and like Fight for Four and everything that came after it. And it's like, I don't know half of these people, but I'm getting more emotion from that than I am from people that I've known about for a good few years. Why? Why is that even happening? That doesn't make any sense. And then I just started twigging, going, oh, right, yeah, because that's not interesting me anymore. There's something missing in WWE that I'm getting in AEW. So why am I going to be watching a pay-per-view every month when there's like 4 a year and these amazing shows that actually build to something? So I was just like, oh, well, that's a bit awkward. So that was it. John Moxley and Chris Jericho. Who knew?
Yeah. And that's just awesome. It's just those, you look at those things that just lined up just right. Like, let's say John Moxley doesn't sign with AEW. You don't have that moment. No. And now he may sign later, but if it wasn't that moment just right, you might not have the hook.
Exactly. And what I think is crazy is I always go, well, John Moxley is the reason I watch AEW, and he probably is. Because like you said, that hook that gets you in. Like, obviously, like, Jericho was there, but I think because I didn't see much of Jericho, as in what I remember of Jericho back from, like, early 2000s, I wasn't that, like, kind of fascinated so much as with him. I just knew who he was. But then when John Moxley came in, I was just like, well, if he's here, then this is going to be something that I need to take notice of. And like I've said in the past to certain people, if it hadn't been for him, I probably would have carried on like watching AEW, but I don't think I'd have been hooked in as quick as what I was. And then from that, then you start learning all these other people that are on the roster and like the depth of talent they've got that have been turned away from like more mainstream wrestling. And you're just like, this is like I felt like I actually fitted in with like kind of like the misfits of wrestling world. I was just like,
that's the word I was looking for. It's like a band of misfits, almost like rejects that you realize. but then all of a sudden you feel like they get the chance, and then the people that didn't want them all of a sudden look over and go, they were more gorgeous than I realized it. It's like,
and I think that's like
I didn't see this before.
I think that's like a really good like analogy for life. Like, go for what you want. Don't be put under pressure to doing what everybody else thinks you should do. Go for what you want to do. So I just love that overall, like, kind of, they're outside the box, but they're killing it at the same time. So you don't have to fit in to kind of do what you want to do. Be your own people. Be your own people.
And I wonder how many people like you were watching WWE and didn't really give AEW a chance from the beginning. They're just so used to watching that certain same thing.
Because it brainwashes you to WWE. Like, the same monotonous, same storylines that are just recycled. And like I've said to you before, it feels so polished and so like detailed to like the 9th degree, which it doesn't have to be sparkling all the time. It can be a bit, because people are humans. They're not robots. Let them have the errors. Let them have the fluffs. That's all part of it.
Yeah, and that's not knocking anybody. Again, like she said before, too, not knocking anybody. If that's what you enjoy, that's fine. But it's one of those where,
at the end of the day,
it is.
What I like, other people may not like. So,
but I feel like for some of those that may have not given AEW a chance, may have missed out on something. Really getting in on the ground floor, watching it from the beginning, you feel so connected because you watched it from the 100%.
Beginning. And like you think like that's part of history. Like, even though we're like individual people that people in AEW probably will never know, we're still part of that history.
Exactly.
No matter like what. So I think that's like it's quite a nice thing to have, really. Like you,
It
so like
is.
you can say like years later, oh, I was there at the start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Type
right from the
thing.
beginning.
So yeah.
I feel as good as we feel like watching it from the beginning of AEW. For the people that literally have followed BTE from its inception.
Yes.
Because I wasn't watching BTE until I got drawn to AEW. But
Yeah,
from those
same,
watching
same.
BTE from the beginning to see how it led to here, that's got to feel 1,000 times better than what it feels for us.
Also,
I mean,
like for the
that's pretty
people that
cool.
were following like the Bucks and Omega from like the start as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like
because
how like fascinating that must be from that, because that's gonna be what we get from like watching like Darby Allin and Jungle Boy and MJF. Obviously, they were doing stuff before, but for us to see them rise through AEW, that's going to be such like a special thing. It
is, really is.
So yeah.
Yep.
So my final question is going to be a tough one.
Ooh, I like
because
that.
I don't even know how I'm going to answer this.
Okay.
And we may be able to split it a bit, but who are your top 5 in AEW now?
Top 5 in AEW now. Are we mixing?
I've not even split it down to women, men, and tag teams. I'm saying top 5.
Okay, just top 5. Top 5. Period. Oh no. Okay.
And they can be interchangeable. Like you don't have to have this is your top 5 for life. I'm not going to put make you choose forever.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I'm glad I have the freedom to change. That's good to know.
I'm giving you some leeway.
Okay, you're so sweet.
I know, I'm so nice.
I really appreciate that, Princess.
Don't you start that, man. Jeez. I'm not a princess. I'm the darkness.
Okay. Number 5. Chris Jericho.
Okay.
Number 4. MJF.
Okay.
Number 3.
Be happy with that.
Number 3. God, man, can I start over?
Nope.
Oh, okay, just right now. Right. It may change next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3. Britt Baker.
Okay.
Number 2. Darby Allin.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1. Future AEW World Champion by the end of this year. Hangman Adam Page.
Mm-hmm.
My top 5 right now.
Top 5 right now.
Yes.
Interesting.
But I could tell you after I'm just going to, this is an add-on. The next time I see Ray Phoenix wrestle, because I haven't seen it in a little bit, the next time I see him wrestle, he'll probably jump to number 1. it's like I haven't seen him in a match in a few weeks. So every time, as soon as I watch a Ray Phoenix match, I'm like, he's the greatest thing ever. He's like, so that's coming at some point. You'll hear me say that he's my favorite. But,
okay.
But not right now. Yeah.
No. Right. Okay. So my top 5. I don't know why I've done this question because I'm literally like going, I don't know. Why do I do this to myself?
Hey, and I'll give you the freedom to change it.
Oh my
down the road.
Thank you. So I'm gonna go top 5 right now.
Yep.
Eddie Kingston.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Goodness me. 4.
It's tough.
Number 4. I'm gonna put Santana and Ortiz in there because legit gonna be tag champions by the end of the year. Wait, make it happen.
That's 2.
Yeah, but they're a tag team, so it's 1.
No, that's 2. You're cheating.
Okay, so if you said the Young Bucks, that was 2.
I didn't say the Young Bucks
though. But the thing is, no, they are a tag team. Tag team. They are 1.
Go ahead, cheater. Keep going.
Hey, you could have said a tag team if you wanted.
If I wanted to cheat, I could have, but go ahead.
So Santana Ortiz are number 4.
Cheat like John Moxley. Yeah.
Don't you start. What am I on? Number 3.
Yes, number 3.
Number 3. I want to either say Jade Cargill or Chris Statlander. I'm going to go Jade Cargill.
Okay.
Because she is awesome.
Yep, she is. She is.
I mean, she's not done much yet, but she's still awesome. And I wouldn't mess with her.
She's got that presence.
Yeah.
Telling you.
So that was number 3. Number 2.
Mm-hmm. You can say the Young Bucks. It's okay.
No, I'm not going to even put them words in my mouth.
You've already cheated. You might as well cheat again.
I'm going to say Ricky Starks.
Ooh, Ricky Starks.
Because you gotta love the sassiness of him.
He's my number 6. He's my number 6. Sassy number 6.
Yes, he's number 1.
Oh, Kenny Omega, AEW World Champion, Impact World Champion, AAA Mega Champion, TNA Champion.
No.
Is that it?
No.
Oh.
The guy that started it all for me. Mr. One, John Moxley.
John Moxley.
He will forever have the number 1 spot. That won't change.
All right.
He will
so that will never change.
1. Never change.
Gotcha.
Ever.
I think we all saw that number 1 coming.
I mean, look, I started the gimmick. I'm going to continue it.
Do it. Ride it. Keep riding it.
So that's my top 5. That's your top 5. They are subject to change apart from my number 1 spot.
Yep.
I'm so surprised you didn't put the Bucks or Omega in.
No, if we're doing tag teams, if I'm not cheating, I was really thinking this is just one person. I didn't want to take 2 spots with Nick and Matt.
I said top, like fave.
I know. I was just thinking in terms of like individual wrestlers. Yeah, it's fine that you put Santana and Ortiz in there. I'm just messing with you, but literally, if we were doing a tag team, they're my top guys.
Well, they're my questions, so.
They are your questions.
So that's a bit of background on us, I'm guessing.
Yeah, a little bit. I've learned stuff today. I've learned stuff.
You know most about this about me anyway, but I feel other people have learned
I
stuff.
do, but I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks weren't in your top 5. So.
Damn, they're not. No.
Yeah, I know most of the rest of it. Yes.
As if I'd put them in my top 5. I have a duty of loyalty.
Yeah. Oh man.
But
okay.
So that was fun.
Yeah, this was fun.
Our first official podcast we've done on our own. Yeah,
it's fun. And now a lot of the stuff we'll have more shows like this that are more of roundtable type.
Yeah.
Just talks about general wrestling, just mostly chats. AEW. Yep.
Yeah.
But we'll also keep those reviews coming and previews and yep. But this was definitely fun. So I look forward to doing more of these. Yep.
And if anybody has any thoughts on our picks or you want to add your own picks in, you can add them into the comments on our Twitter. What's our Twitter?
Yeah, our Twitter is BeautyXTheBeard. That's at BeautyXTheBeard. Yeah, the new Twitter home.
New Twitter.
Yep.
With our
new Twitter
artwork.
I know. Thank you to Slick Legends.
Thank you very much, Slick.
Yeah, that artwork is amazing.
Is amazing.
Fantastic. Yep.
And I've got to say, we both look good.
Yeah, especially me. And that white bucks get up. I look like an angel over there. Absolutely. I've never looked better than I do in that artwork.
And I don't even want to ask you what I look like.
I'll tell you what you look like. No, you look great. You look like you. You definitely got the whited out zombie eyes. That's perfect. Nailed it. Yep.
Yeah. So as we said, you can follow us there, and you can answer the questions in the comments yourselves. Let us know what you think of our new shiny podcast. And
and you can follow us individually. Yeah, please. And you can follow us individually on Twitter at Let the Beard Play. That's where I'm at.
Uh-huh.
And she is at Strange_Pixie. Yep.
That is correct.
Yes. So yeah, please let us know what you thought of this first show. Yeah, tell us what your top fives are, and remember to tell Sarah that she needs to put the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega in her top five.
I remember you can change them. They're not set in brick.
They are not, except for John Moxley.
John Moxley is number one. That's it.
Yep. All right, yeah. I appreciate y'all checking it out. Look forward to more stuff coming in the future. This is going to be a fun ride, so thank y'all for jumping on, just strapping those seat belts. This is going to be awesome. So, yeah, like she said, y'all be good out there, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye.